My name is Richard Rayl. I own Mophead Media, a digital marketing agency where we focus on web services for child welfare and also for nonprofits. When I was 5 years old, my siblings and I have three other siblings, we grew up in a trailer park, a dusty trailer park in Green River, Utah. Our mother, she was a very loving mother, cared for us and loved us the best she could, but she suffered from severe mental issues and self-medicated with alcohol and drugs. And from that, we entered foster care. This family took us in what looked like rescue and looked like maybe a safe haven for us, all four of us children, turned out to be a very dangerous place to grow up. What we suffered was not only abuse within a home, but a failure of adults and systems. I would look at all these other families and think that they had such a perfect life, and I viewed them as deserving of what they had, of parents who cared for them, who loved them. How we learn to survive is, I think, is a lot of ways that children learn how to survive. When you're small, when you're invisible, when you're not noticed, then you're safe. This shaped my childhood, and it shaped my confidence. It shaped my sense of worth. My sister Melody, she was my older sister by 2 years. She suffered deeply. The failure of adults and systems to protect her shaped the way she saw herself. And because of her trauma, she ended up taking her life later in a homeless shelter in Seattle. Sometimes dark humor was one of the ways that we coped. She had thick blonde hair, beautiful hair. Our adoptive mother would look at Melody and tell her, it looks like a mop, do something with it. Well, her little brothers took that insult and turned it around. When she entered the room years later, we would say, hey, Mophead. And so I named my agency Mophead Media. But what it does is, for me, it carries the wound, but it also carries love. I've begun to heal and look inward and feel like I've awakened as a human. I have started to see more clearly, what trauma took from me, but what also survived. I have discovered that I have my own sense of self-worth, and with that, I understand I have deep creativity, deep empathy, and I have a fierce sense of who I am and what I stand for. And perhaps some of that depth was forged in the fire of what I lived through. When I am asked what I needed as a child, it's a pretty simple answer. I needed language, trusted adults who knew what signs to look for. I needed someone who would teach me that my body belonged to me, to teach me that abuse is not my fault. I remember visiting a school where Wyatt and Emily were teaching. I was there to film. It felt like I was listening not only as an adult, but as the boy that I once was. It brought up a mix of emotions, but what stayed with me the most was warmth and gratitude. It's trauma-informed, it's age-appropriate, and it's also actionable. It gives them a simple safety framework. Listen to that uh-oh feeling, say no, and go tell. And those of you who you go tell, if you feel like it's not being heard, tell someone else, and keep telling until you are heard, until something happens. So that kind of education would have mattered to me. It would have mattered to Melody. And had we had that education, Melody would still be here today. People do care. They're genuinely concerned. They don't want this to happen, but they're just not equipped. They do not know how to talk to children about body safety. This is what I think PCAU does to help fill that gap. It gives children language, it gives adults tools, and it turns concern into action. I want what happened to me and what happened to my sister and the fate that she experienced to not happen to other humans. Child abuse, especially sexual child abuse, casts the shadow the length of a child's life. So in many ways, I feel like I bloomed late because of this experience, but I'm blooming now. So truly what PCAU does in this curriculum, it gives me real hope. This is my why, this is my story, and this is my passion. And I hope it will be yours too.